Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly and welcome everybody once again for another video of DIY investing. I've got a really exciting chart to share with you guys around some XRP analysis that I know is going to completely change your perspective on this bear market, and it's going to give you guys a ton of confidence heading forward towards your XRP investments and the longevity of this Bitcoin cycle. I'm very confident that after watching this video, you guys are going to know exactly why I'm so bullish on XRP, and you're going to finally start to understand why these cryptocurrencies play a significant role in this upcoming society and this next bull run. The people that are timing their investments right now are setting up to make a financial fortune, and that's why it's important that we're not getting shaken out right now. I got some awesome Bitcoin analysis that I'm also going to share with you guys so we can know what to expect if and when Bitcoin drops and how we can go about trying to trade the market from there. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do myself a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. If you guys are looking to join an amazing cryptocurrency community, I have a Discord server with over 4,000 members and growing very, very fast. So this is a good way for you guys to actually congregate with a bunch of the other members that follow me on this channel, as well as share your own thoughts and perspectives regarding cryptocurrency. On my Discord server, I also offer some of my more exclusive content, like my video course in signals. If you're somebody that wants to learn how to be a profitable analyst and day trade these markets with consistency, I highly recommend that you guys check out the video course. It's 20 educational videos that teach you guys all of the strategies that I use to profit inside of crypto every day. Now, the signals are actually a way for you guys to copy all of my long-term trades and investments that I'm taking, knowing exactly what percentages I've allocated to what for my long-term portfolio, as well as any shorter-term trades that I take as well. You guys are going to be able to copy all of those and follow along with all of the trades so you guys can be profiting alongside with me. But with all that being said, I wanted to quickly say thank you guys so much for the support. I know we got a lot of XRP supporters here, and I know that this one's really going to shake things up for you. So make sure you guys stay to the very end of this video so you don't miss out on any of this exciting content, because I promise you it is going to shock you entirely. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's get right in this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so here we are taking a look at Bitcoin. This is the first thing we're going to start off. I just wanted to quickly brush up on some Bitcoin analysis on a bigger time frame, shorter time frame, and then we'll actually jump into the XRP analysis. So with Bitcoin, we're at a monthly time scale right now. Some things I want to talk about are just some basic levels. I don't want to overcomplicate things because I know a lot of people are going to be doing that. If you're trying to get a lot of analysis from people on Twitter, you're going to get a lot of mixed results. And so it's just important that we stick to a couple basic levels and then we just watch those levels and plan accordingly. Now, this was really our first level that I'm personally watching for. This was really that support of the new year at about $6,400, and then we bounced, and then we actually sold through that. But what recently happened was during this initial correction, what made me very confident about Bitcoin was actually the fact that we recovered so well from those lows. In fact, we recovered about 65%, and so that was over half of the move that we recovered, and we actually managed to close back above this support level. Now, even with us being above this support level, I still thought it was a possibility that we could sell back down and actually retest some more of this wick, and that's what I've been updating you guys with for a while. So let's actually drop it to a weekly time scale, and let's point out another level that I'm watching here. Now, we can see here that we're getting some wicks. This is obviously what's going to happen whenever we're venturing towards resistance before rejection. It is possible that we do something similar to like what we saw right here, because we get this big wick, but then we got a big green candle that came right after. As long as we don't start closing with the red candle, then I would think that we could see another green one that would take us up, about 8K. That's the mark that I'm watching. But in fact, if we do start selling off, another level that I'm going to be watching for is down here. And this would be our weekly support. This was really the first breakout from this bottom that we saw at December of 2019, or 2018, I mean, and then we broke out, and this would have been our support level. Now, on the weekly time frame, we actually closed above this level, so that was going to be my first real area that I was watching for. If we could get a weekly close above this, then I thought that was going to set us up for a monthly close above the support level of 64, and we actually got both of those. The weekly closed above this level here. The monthly closed above the support level that we were watching at the new year at 64 right there. And so now we're just kind of consolidating. So what happens next? Well, let's actually go through here and analyze some things. And I'm going to switch things up a little bit because, quite honest, I think that there's a little bit of a better story that's to be told if you guys just invert the chart, right? So let's take a look here. Let's drop it to about a 12-hour time frame. and let's take a look at what we're seeing. Now, this is kind of what I was watching. So this is just an inverted chart of Bitcoin. Obviously, if this thing goes up, that means the bears are winning and this is bearish. If this is going down, it's bullish, just so that I can clarify that to you guys so you're not confused. But basically, kind of what I was watching for was this. I thought that this was a big descending triangle, and to be quite honest, the bullish scenario would be an ascending triangle. So you see right now there's people drawing rising wedges and there's people drawing ascending triangles. To me, this looks, on an inverted scale, this looks like a descending triangle, which obviously is an ascending triangle because the market is not inverted. And I'll show you guys kind of what I mean here. So all I did was invert the chart, right? Now, this is what I've been personally watching for. I thought that this looked much more like a descending triangle in formation. We had lower highs, we had rejections, we went lower, had lower lows, and then we actually sold through that, because you guys know that we have this horizontal support level. We've bounced off it once, twice, 3, 4 different times. We've had lower highs the entire way in here, and then we just barely sold through support right there. Now, for me, even though we're retracing back within this structure of the descending triangle, I don't foresee that this is being long-lived. But if we did get a strong impulse, then I would have to rethink my decision. But to be quite honest, I think it's much more likely that we're going to find a rejection pretty close to where we're at right here. That's personally what I'm going to be watching for. I think that that level is about, 66, about 6,700. If we start breaking above that, then I'm going to start rethinking my trading plan. But until we do that, I'm expecting this is just kind of I'm kind of expecting this as just being a bear trap before we actually do fall lower, which in theory would mean Bitcoin would go up. And so that's personally what I'm going to be watching for. Now let's switch the scale so we're not so confused anymore, because it's kind of hard to explain. But that's what I'm watching for. I think that we will find a short-term bottom here, and then we could go back up from this, but we're just going to have to watch and see, because obviously, bearish scenario, we have this trend line, and we did break through this trend line. So that's something to keep a note of. There is possibilities for downside. For the downside targets, let's actually talk about some things here. Let's pull up our Fibonacci. The levels that I'm personally going to be watching for are going to be at about here at 58. And then I'm also going to be watching down here at the 618, which will take us to about 52 to 5,300. I think that realistically, if we start to sell off and we have a little bit more of a prolonged sell-off, I think that we'll come back down to these two support levels. And that's kind of what I've been updating you guys with for a little while now. I've kind of expected that eventually we were going to find a resistance. Eventually we were going to have to come back down and retest some of these support levels. And so that's personally what I'm going to continue watching for. Obviously, there's still the bull case where this dip gets bought up and then we go upwards 8 to 9K, which would complete kind of like this V bottom where we sold off and then prices immediately shot back up. And so that's what I'm going to be watching out for with Bitcoin. I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page, but regardless, if we zoom out, I think that there's much more reason to be bullish. I personally thought that this big wick was a capitulation event, and so that's kind of how I'm going to be playing my cards, because you guys got to remember that right now we're just having consolidation. And so this was really the analysis that I had for you guys regarding Bitcoin. Wanted to label a few levels, make sure that we're all on the same page. There is possibility for downside, so just understand that. The fact that we are at this resistance, I've personally been expecting us to come back down and retest some of our support levels. And so as long as Bitcoin continues to retrace, you guys now know my levels in which I'm going to watch out for. So now before we jump into the XRP analysis, let's talk about a couple things here, because this is the Bitcoin dominance. Now, the Bitcoin dominance, what I've been updating you guys with was I said that a close below 65% dominance was bearish and a close above was going to be bullish. Now, obviously, if this starts uptrending, altcoins are going to bleed and they would go to new lows. But the thing is, it looks like we're getting rejected here and we're having a hard time breaking above this level at 65%. Now, what I want to point out is that if this level fails, which I think it will, and we sell off, I think that the next support level is going to be about 55%. It is possible that we did bottom a little bit earlier at about here, would be 58%. But either way, I don't find us finding a short-term support until at least 58%. And so that would create a nice bounce for altcoins. If this starts to drop, altcoins are going to see value, and they're going to increase in value, and so that's just something to pay attention for. Really, as long as this is bearish, altcoins are bullish. As long as this breaks up, as long as this stays below 65%, altcoins are going to do well. The second that we break above 65% and start uptrending, then I would be targeting closer to 79% dominance for a higher high, which would see Bitcoin once again taking a lot of that value from the altcoin market cap. Now let's actually dive into the real analysis here. So today we're going to be taking a look at gold, we're going to be taking a look at silver, and then we're going to be comparing that with XRP, because guys, there's something that I've noticed here that is going to blow your mind. Now I've gone through and I've already made the charts here. Basically what I've been updating you guys with was this fractal. I pointed this fractal out literally almost at the very bottom of this bearish trend. It was at $3,400 that I made the video, and I said that the bottom was in for Bitcoin based off of this gold fractal, and we were going to see a big impulse. Now obviously we didn't follow the gold fractal as far as just going straight into new all-time highs. We have had a short-term correction, but I still think that it's very cool that we're seeing this correlation. Now what's interesting to me, and what I've been updating you guys with, was how this gold fractal looked exactly the same as XRP. But once a couple days ago I started looking through charts and I looked at the silver's futures on TradingView, and I noticed that silver looks even more identical to XRP and gold looks more identical to Bitcoin. And so what I noticed is this pattern that's playing out. Now let's actually go to the chart of silver itself, and let's go take a look here. Now this is the chart that I've layered over XRP. This was the original market cycle that topped in about 1980, and then we consolidated for about 25 years before we broke out and went into a new parabolic trend, right? But this trend from 1980 till about 2003 looks exactly the same as the market structure that we're seeing in XRP. And we can see that right here. We got this big blow off top, we sold off immediately, and then we started just kind of rounding out and making lower lows, and it was just a long, slow, drawn out trend. And this is the exact same thing that happened here inside of silver. And then what followed silver, after we found our short-term bottom, we ended up impulsing, and we went about a 10x return. Gold was very, very similar to Bitcoin. Obviously Bitcoin followed this gold fractal, we bottomed, and then we impulsed, and gold did nearly the same thing, except gold actually went into new all-time highs. But this is very interesting to me, how gold is following, or how Bitcoin is following gold, and then XRP is actually following silver. And so I've gone through and I've labeled a couple charts here because I thought this was just so interesting to share, how we're starting to see a correlation between Bitcoin and gold. We already knew about that. That's something I've been updating you guys with for a significant portion of time on my channel, about a year and a half now. And I thought that this was so interesting. And now I knew that XRP was following this same exact fractal, but once I actually looked at the chart of silver, I started noticing that this chart of silver and XRP are more correlated than gold is to the XRP chart, because really here we get similar sorts of consolidation. Obviously we get the low here, we get a low here, we get rejected here, this is our top, fall to a new low right here, bounce again, get rejected, same thing happened right here. We fall to another low, takes us to here, we bounce again, another rejection, we fall again, we find some more support, we make another attempt here at breaking out, we fell. And now this is really the difference. What we saw here inside of silver was we actually never broke below this low that we saw here, but XRP went for another low. And so there is a little bit of a difference here, but guys, the real thing that we need to pay attention here is the similarities in structure, because this is just human emotion. Every market cycle is traded off of human emotion because it's humans that are investing in these markets. Sure, you have algorithms, but you guys got to understand that cryptocurrency really up to this point has been a retail investor's game. And so the emotional psychology of the market is going to have very parabolic runs. It's going to be very emotional because it's just a bunch of fun money that's playing around with this market predominantly. Now, what we're going to see coming next is the institutional wave, and that's why I'm very confident in these assets. And that's why I thought that it was so interesting how gold and XRP, and that's why I thought it was so interesting how silver and XRP are just so deeply correlated. In fact, even more so than the Bitcoin gold fractal, because Bitcoin looks identical to gold. These two followed each other almost identical, almost zero difference. And now I think it's very interesting how silver has always been kind of right behind gold. Gold will always lead the moves, and gold's always the thing pulling silver up with it. And you know, XRP being one of the best performing altcoins in history, it's the same exact way with Bitcoin. Bitcoin always leads the rallies. Bitcoin creates that demand. And then when demand leaves Bitcoin, it goes into these other altcoins like XRP. And, the same thing happens with silver. And so I think it's very interesting that we're seeing such correlated cycles, because it makes me very confident being an XRP holder, because, guys, these are the exact same cycles. And really, what we are going to expect to find is a very, very big parabolic cycle to come. And I think that that's why everybody should be packing their bags accordingly. I'm very confident with my investments in XRP, and that's why I haven't felt so much fear with actually holding as this thing is broken past support, as it's fallen to new lows. Because for me personally, I've always been very confident that this one would in turn go up again. And it's just a matter of us kind of waiting to see when that is going to take place. But in my opinion, we'll see something very similar here inside of XRP. Wherever that bottom is, I have no idea where it's going to be. But then eventually we're going to be breaking out and going into those new all-time highs. And kind of what I've been telling you guys is I was expecting the XRP would be at about $1 by the end of this year. And so that would create a pretty big impulse that would take us back to a sell-off back down to about this 30-cent mark, which would be pretty similar to what we saw inside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin would have impulsed, it would have hit some of these resistances up here, we would have fallen back down to this level here. Even though Bitcoin pierced back below that, something similar could happen with XRP, where maybe XRP gets a little bit more volatile, maybe we do impulse all the way up here, but then we could drop back down to, who knows, maybe 25 to 20 cents before we actually do start impulsing, or maybe just, this level up here, because this was the 2017 support before we impulse into our final impulse, and then we've pretty much just held support here. This entire retrace was us retesting those lows, and I don't find it likely that we're going to go much lower than that. And so kind of what I'm watching is something very similar to what happened with silver, where we're going to see another big impulse, another big market cycle that's going to take us beyond all-time highs. But the thing about silver, guys, and what I think is going to be different between the two cycles, is silver only impulsed about 20% past its all-time high, where XRP, I don't expect it to only impulse 20% past all-time high. These are cryptocurrencies after all, and I think it's much more likely that this thing's really going to start flying when it does. And so 20% past all-time high is only $4. So I don't find that likely. With the amount of time we've accumulated here, I think we're going to see a pretty big rise. That's what I've been updating you guys with, and so that's kind of what I wanted to make this video about, was talking about the similarities. What do you guys think about this? I mean, since Bitcoin follows gold, we already knew that Bitcoin was deemed the store of value. We deemed that it was digital gold. How do you guys feel about XRP following silver? Because I know that silver is just a precious metal, but the thing about XRP is it doesn't really fit those same parameters of what I would view as silver. It's just a cross-border payment system, whereas silver really isn't like that. But I just thought it was interesting that we are seeing the correlations here. It would make sense XRP follows so closely to the silver fractal, because once again, silver follows gold, and if the Bitcoin cycle is creating the same fractal as gold did, it would make sense that XRP, just lagging behind Bitcoin a little bit, would actually follow the silver fractal, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And so I just wanted to make this video to spread some awareness, spread some light on things. Wanted to go through, analyze some Bitcoin analysis. Realistically, to me, I'm still very confident in Bitcoin moving forward. I think that these lows are going to hold. It is possible that we could drop and sell off completely, but to be quite honest, the amount of buyback that we saw here, the amount of new people that hit me up reaching out asking me about how to buy crypto, I personally think that there's more reason to be bullish with all of the new institutional money that's in here. I keep hearing the arguments, well, nobody has enough money to buy Bitcoin. Well, you guys got to remember that it was institutions that shorted the top and accumulated this entire dip. They wouldn't accumulate this entire dip if they didn't believe that Bitcoin was going to go up again. And in my opinion, these institutional investors know a heck of a lot more than me or any of you guys do. And so I'm personally just going to follow that trend. I mean, we didn't have any institutional exchanges that were in Bitcoin until right here. And so the thing is, guys, they shorted the crap out of Bitcoin. They longed the bottom of Bitcoin. And now, in my opinion, they probably bought this wick again too. And so I think that it's much more likely that we're going to continue uptrending. You know, guys, is right here. We got one more month left. We got about half a month left until we hit the month of the Bitcoin halving. This is going to be a big catalyst. I'm very confident long term with what's about to take place. The fact that XRP is following so identically to the silver fractal, and then what happened with silver shortly after was this. I don't think that you guys can be major bearish. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because you guys got to remember that at the point of maximum financial opportunity is going to be the highest point of financial ruin for most people, or the point of maximum fear, I should say. The peak point of financial opportunity is going to be the peak point of fear for the rest of the market. And so you guys got to remember that at this point, do you really think that everybody would have been mega bullish on silver? Or do you think that the entire world would have said, nope, it's dead forever? Only what happened, it impulsed. And now what are we seeing with XRP today? Everybody's saying it's dead. Everybody's waiting for new lows. And then the new lows never come. And then we impulse into new all-time highs instead. And then everybody else that sold and this entire retrace has to pay the pump tax and buy at much higher prices. And so with all that being said, this is the video I had. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate the support. If you found value in this, share this chart, share this analysis, share the video. You guys can reach out to me on all fronts of social media by clicking in the description of this video. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, if you guys want to follow me on any of my social media, you guys can also join my Discord server. It's free for you guys to join. On my Discord, I do offer some of my more exclusive content, so you just have to message me and I will get back to you guys as soon as possible. But with all that being said, honestly, I think that there's more reason to be bullish. I think that this is an exciting thing that we're seeing inside of XRP. And me being an XRP supporter, me being having XRP as one of my biggest holdings, this is just making me more excited for what's to come further down the line. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. With all that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.